the video.
That'd be cool.
I think I'm recording it right now, actually.
Is this how people do like YouTube podcasts?
Probably.
Is this YouTube now?
This is
Oh, no.
YouTube.
Is Grandma Talking YouTube now?
We could put this one up on YouTube. I'm recording it. Why not?
On our hit channel.
How
On our
exciting.
hit channel. All right. Now we can't say anything bad because I'm recording and I'm not going to edit the video.
I can't tell the bad stuff I was going to say.
Okay.
I'll talk about those new Clone Wars episodes off mic.
Let's go to time.is.
Oh, boy.
Well, behind the scenes for YouTube, time.is is where we sync up our time. 1:23. Let's do it at 1:23 exactly. I believe in you guys. That seemed very off.
Felt wrong.
That felt very off, didn't it? Maybe there's
But
just a big delay on.
Let's try it one more time. Try it one more time.
Okay, let's do it at 17.
Okay.
That felt better.
I think it's better.
I guess that's the reason why we do time.is, because it's a little bit of a delay.
Yeah.
Here's another peek behind the camera. We don't know how to
We don't know what we're doing.
we don't know what we're doing.
Okay. So
Another peek for you. You got some attractive hosts.
look at my mustache. I grew just for this podcast.
Hide it behind that microphone of yours.
Now it looks like I don't
It'd
have
be
a
amazing
mustache
if
at
you
all.
grew a mustache that was in the exact shape of the microphone.
Of the microphone. I almost left a little soul patch yesterday just to see what it would look like.
No.
I shaved it off.
I shaved at the hospital yesterday because we're supposed to be clean shaven because these masks you're supposed to wear.
Yeah.
You can't have any facial hair. I left the mustache portion up for the first time in my life. I don't think it looked terrible.
You should have kept it.
It might be an option.
You should have kept it. I'm doing it. What else am I going to do except grow a mustache while I'm sitting at home?
I was gonna go full beard, but then the laws about sickness and masks. Don't you hate it when there's laws?
Riley, are your glasses blue?
They're kind of like gray blue.
Gray blue. I think I almost bought them.
My gold glasses just broke yesterday. The lens popped out while I was sitting here. You always buy the same glasses.
I know.
How does that happen?
That they popped out or that we buy the same glasses?
Is there one like eyeglass shop in the very small town where you guys live?
Yeah, it's called I Buy Direct.
Yeah.
Hey, that's the same one I use in my town.
Hey, weird. This episode is sponsored by I Buy Direct.
I wish.
Ooh. Wait, I should put on my glasses if we're going to be begging for sponsorships.
That's true. No, my gold ones that I usually wear, I was just sitting at my computer yesterday, and all of a sudden it just went like the left lens just went pop, and it just popped out. I didn't do anything.
Just while you were sitting there?
Just while I was sitting there, it popped out. Oh, look at that. Now it's the glass cast.
Glass cast.
Well,
you can see the reflection of my computer and time.is.
Now that we're on YouTube, you can see how happy I am every time I make a bad joke. That doesn't come across in the podcast.
We all are whenever any of us make a bad joke. And the answer is the most happy.
The most happy. All right. So who's hosting?
Me. I don't know, because I feel like I have the least to say about the Clone Wars.
Okay. Spoilers.
Okay. Guys, are we ready?
I am so ready.
Okay. Welcome to Grandma Talking, delicately curated long-form discussion of the internationally beloved Star Wars saga, tailored to the modern fanatic, brought to you lovingly in weekly increments by the loquacious yet soothing voices of your hosts, Jasmine.
Hi.
To my right is Riley.
Hi. And Chelsea.
And in the background to my right is Chelsea and me, Jake.
Yes.
And we are in person in the sense that this is the first time I've ever held my friends in my hand.
Don't you have something you can sit it on? Your arm's going to get tired.
You have no idea how strong my arms are, right?
Yes, I do.
And the answer is no. I don't have anything I can set it on. We don't have a lot of furniture, and I don't feel like
some books or something.
We don't have books in this house. I have one copy of Dorian Gray that I've never read, and that's it. This has been established.
Just set it on your stack of tablets, which contain thousands of books.
Okay, you got me there, buddy. You found my secret weakness.
Mhm.
Now I have to give you my key.
Yep.
I forgot that I'm hosting, and I have to keep this on the rail. Okay. This is a Star Wars podcast. We don't really know how to do it anymore
No.
because we haven't done it. I mean, we did a podcast recently, but it didn't really count.
Yeah,
in my
it may be
I
obvious
don't
to
remember
you.
it.
I
What
don't
did we talk
remember it.
about? Oh, we talked
don't
about
know.
Disney World and stuff.
Oh yeah.
You want to know what's been good for me is not listening to our podcast. I feel better about myself when I don't listen back to things I say and think, ugh.
And yeah, it really cuts down on the self-loathing.
It does, which
Yeah.
I can always use
Mhm.
less of, more, less.
More or
loathing.
less.
We can. That's because it's going to YouTube.
Yeah.
We're talking today about keeping it light, and we're talking about
Breezy.
some wars that
Yeah.
happened called the Clone Wars. This is the worst show we've ever done. I don't know. It is distracting holding something in my hand and looking at faces. I'm going to be
There's
honest.
got
I
to
should
be
have
somewhere
gotten
you
this-
can put that.
I'll figure it out. I'll figure it out in a subtle way, and it won't interrupt.
Do you
the
have like
show
a
at all.
banana or an apple or something you can set
I
it
do
on?
have a banana I could set my phone on.
Yeah,
Milk
That would be
jug
amazing if a
glass.
banana balanced it perfectly.
that would be amazing.
Guys, what are we talking about today?
Clone Wars, you already said it.
Oh, yeah. Are we talking about new Clone Wars? Do we?
Listen,
that?
All Clone Wars?
we're going to talk a little bit about everything.
Everything. I think that's the way to do it. And a part of that is because we're kind of in the middle, or in the first third, I guess, of this new season that's airing.
Yeah.
So we don't really have too much context for it. And there's not that much going on in the new
True.
episodes of the Clone Wars, to be honest.
Yeah.
Nothing that like inspires me to want to have like a deep conversation about it anyway.
Save
I
it
watched
for the
them and
show.
I think
Yeah.
Fine.
It's fine.
But we do want to talk about Clone Wars in general.
Yes.
And we haven't talked a lot about Clone Wars on this show.
No, we really
We've
haven't.
done, I don't know if we've ever done an episode specifically dedicated to the
on this
Clone Wars.
episode.
We're back in it. We figured out how to do the show again. Thomas episode. And I think we should start at the very beginning.
Yes.
Season 1, episode 1, minute 1. Recap.
Yes.
Go.
Is Yoda, and he's fighting.
Yeah.
he's fighting the separatists on the Toydarian planet.
Is that actually what happens in the first
Yeah.
episode?
Yeah.
I think
Oh,
so.
okay.
Episode 2. I don't know. As far
that
as I can go is episode 1.
would be insane if we actually went through every episode. I feel like the first season for me, if we're going to talk about our feelings with the Clone Wars as a whole, I struggle with the first season.
Mhm.
There's a lot of filler
Yeah.
to me, and I feel like the more into the show you get, the further into the show you get, the better the show gets. And, like, it really is one of
agree.
those shows that just keeps getting better. The writing, the pacing, even the lesser arcs are just more fun,
Yeah.
and they don't feel as blatantly unsubstantial.
The pacing, especially because the first couple seasons, everything is so out of order. Like, you'll have an episode where a clone dies, and then 5 episodes later, that clone is back and he's doing something else because they just put all the episodes out of order. They didn't care about it. And then as the seasons progress, by like 3 or 4, finally everything's kind of in the correct order, and it feels more cohesive.
Agreed. The cohesion.
Yeah.
No,
What were you
I
doing?
agree. What's that?
Were you changing your clothes?
Yeah. I was looking around in my immediate area to see if I could balance my phone and so I can still see you guys. And no, not really. So
You want me to send you
Um,
some books?
please send me some books. They'll get here in like a couple minutes, right?
Yeah, sure.
Jasmine,
Yes.
what's your connection to the Clone Wars? I feel like this was your Star Wars for a while.
Yeah, definitely. Like, I watched it every week when it came out with my dad. And yeah, like, I remember, how old was I when the movie came out?
It came out in 2008.
2008.
Hey,
Yeah.
look at two guys who know when the Clone Wars movie came out.
Yeah.
So I was 13.
12
and
years
this
ago.
was like,
Ugh.
yeah, I was 13, and this was like my, like, Attack of the Clones. Revenge of the Sith came out 3 years ago. This was my first, like, one of the few new Star Wars things I ever got to see or experience. So yeah, it was really exciting for me. Definitely.
Yeah. Now help me out. Like the actual, I don't know anything about what was going on with this show while it was airing. Other than that, like I was aware of it, and I remember my feeling being like, I saw Revenge of the Sith, I loved it, but I felt like, oh, okay, well, Star Wars is over now. And then when they announced the Clone Wars series, at the time I was just like, no, I think I'm done. And I really kind of felt done for a while, so I didn't really keep track of it. I was in high school at the time and kind of in a snooty phase, I think. I'm probably like, a cartoon for children, please. But what channel did it air on? Like, when was it even on?
It was Cartoon Network, right?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I think Cartoon Network.
It was.
Saturdays or Friday nights or something like that.
I don't know when it aired.
Yeah, it was like a main big thing for Cartoon Network.
That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, and was it? Yeah, it was Cartoon Network. I started thinking, like, was it Disney? And no, it wasn't Disney.
Because I know the original
No.
Clone Wars shorts aired on Cartoon Network, so that makes
mhm.
sense.
Which I never saw at all. I would like.
I remember watching those when they were airing, actually.
I didn't know when they aired or where they aired or how to see
Blink
them.
and you miss them. They're pretty short.
They were very short.
I didn't realize they were that short either.
You had to like catch them in the middle of other shows.
Yeah.
They were like, and here's a 5-minute Clone Wars episode.
It was, yeah. They would like hype up all week, like tune into this show so you can watch this other show technically for a little bit. And it was really confusing.
Yeah.
So yeah, the Clone Wars was something that I just kind of dismissed as like a cartoon for kids. And then I just would keep on hearing things about how great this show was. And at the time, I also just did not like what I saw the art style. I thought that it just looked so blocky and weird. Like when I saw Yoda and like the character designs, I was just like, I don't think I like this. So I put it off for a really long time, and I don't think I watched it till it came on Netflix. And then I was immediately like, oh, no, yeah, this is really good. No, you know what it was? Is StarWars.com used to put the episodes on the official website.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And so one day, like after school, I was like, I am going to check this out because I heard that Darth Maul was back on the show, and I was like, that's insane.
Mm-hmm.
There's no way that's going to make any sense. And then I watched the episode where his brother finds him, Savage, and I was like, this is amazing. And that's how I got hooked on it. That's right. And I think if we're going to go favorite seasons, I think mine is 3. 3 is, I think, my favorite season, and there's just like a stretch of, that's when you get Mortis, it's when you get the Citadel, it's where you get the, I'm blanking on the name, but when like Ahsoka and the other younglings are kind of in that like Hunger Games-esque scenario, like a lot of my favorite episodes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
3 is very good.
I don't know if I have a favorite season.
Yeah, I didn't think about that.
I didn't think of the show in terms of seasons just because I recognized 1 as being the weakest, and at a certain point in 2 is when it starts to really hook me. So I think I do think of the show in seasons in that way. But
3
4,
is the
5.
one. Yeah, 3 is the one I think I remember the most. I don't really remember much of like the Maul Mandalore arc stuff at all. I haven't watched them recently enough. But yeah, 3 is I like where all I think my memories of Clone Wars reside in.
And I think what the show did, this is going to be a really profound observation that no one's made, but it kind of legitimized the prequel trilogy to a lot of people. And I think the reason why, a lot of people now look to the prequels as, hey, those weren't so bad, I have good memories of prequels, is because this series fleshed out so much of that world, and particularly Anakin's character, I think, and his relationships with everybody.
The reason anybody likes Anakin is probably because of the Clone Wars and not because of the movies.
Yeah. I think as a kid, who was growing up watching the movies, I liked Anakin because I liked Star Wars and he was the protagonist of the movies and I didn't give it much thought. But I think as an adult, revisiting the prequels, I was surprised at how much I didn't like Anakin. And then watching the Clone Wars, I was surprised at how much I loved Anakin. So
You
shout
wanted to
out
marry
to Matt
him.
Lanter.
You wanted to marry
Yeah.
him, you told me.
I mean, somebody said, if you love him so much, why don't you marry him? And I said, good point.
Good
Looked
point.
into it, and legally, Disney owns the property, so I can't.
Oh, okay. Well, hey, Disney's a corporation. Corporations are technically people.
That's right, thankfully.
So you could, thankfully, they're considered people because that makes sense. So technically,
Hopefully
you
they
could
get some
marry
money
Disney.
soon.
Yeah, hopefully they'll get money. Oh,
Not
can you
us, we
imagine how
can
much they're suffering
handle it.
during all this?
Oh my gosh. Imagine
imagine.
having to wait a couple months to see some of the movies.
Terrible.
Oh, man. Yeah, we should specify, if we haven't already, that we're still kind of in that. I say this for history.
For history.
You know
Yeah.
how in like 25 years, people will still be discovering our podcast like they do with Star Wars.
Yes.
You know, this is a time in history when people are sick and in their houses.
True.
And I will not give any further context, even though I said I was going to go into this.
That's why we all sound bad, because we're recording in our own homes.
Yes, and our homes are bad.
Are bad. Well, specifically the audio in our homes, except mine. Hi,
Yes.
Christina.
Hey. I don't know what to talk about with Clone Wars.
Okay,
Somebody
let's
throw
talk about
something
some
out there.
arcs. I want to throw
Yeah.
out some arcs out there. You already
Arcs,
mentioned
troopers.
Mortis. Let's talk about Mortis, because that is probably the most significant episode when it comes to Star Wars lore in Clone Wars, right?
Probably.
Oh, yeah.
It was like they added like just new crazy lore with that episode that
Yes.
didn't connect to anything or anyone, and it was new and fresh and awesome.
Yeah, it was a really important project for George.
Mhm.
And Dave Filoni, obviously, it was important for him as well. But it was George Lucas's baby to do this thing. And I think for him, it was almost kind of like the Silmarillion almost of Star Wars, of like having some like weird, mythical, inexplicable thing that you could look to that would provide some kind of, I don't know, like not Adam and Eve, but just like something that existed so far beyond the saga,
Yeah.
and that will be debated and discussed forever. And it still is. I remember a lot of people bought the DVD for season 3 because thinking that there would be some special on that episode, like commentary or something, like getting some kind of insight into it from Dave. And there's like this video message of him saying, we're not going to do that because we want you to just talk about it and figure it out.
Yeah.
And that stuck with me, that message, to this day. That's why I became a podcaster who does the news.
It's
Yeah, no.
definitely a special arc, something that I don't know if we're really ever going to get something like it again, at least in Clone Wars with, 6 episodes left or whatever.
We got something in Rebels, I would say, that is comparable.
That's true.
Yeah,
I
agree.
The world between worlds stuff is...
To the point where it arguably showed up in episode 9.
I mean, yeah. Arguably. I would argue that. Let's argue.
Let's all argue the same thing at each other that we agree.
So it's obvious that we're all big fans of the Mortis arc, which
Yeah.
is why I'm going to say they are cowards for what they did in that.
We've been over this.
We have been over this, but at the end of the Mortis arc, everybody forgets everything. And to me, that was a huge mistake. I think you should have let Anakin keep his memories of what he saw there. Because that adds so much to, like, in the back of his mind, he's thinking about what his future is, and that adds to the urgency more that he needs to be in control of his past, or he needs to be in control of his future, and he just can't be in control of it.
Yeah, I think I would say a core theme of Star Wars is, people, or not maybe a theme, but like a motif that you see is like characters getting visions and desperately trying to stop those visions from happening.
Mhm.
And because they try to stop them from happening, they just
happen.
happen anyway.
Yeah.
Like all the danger that Luke saw with his friends, he goes to Cloud City, and it all just happens anyway. And like
Mm-hmm.
Anakin has visions of his mother dying, and he goes to try to stop it, and it happens anyway. He has visions of Padme dying, and he tries to stop it. So I feel like all that stuff that he sees on Mortis would have just been the same thing. Like if he had some sense that he was going to become a monster, it only would have added to his arc.
Yep.
Where's the fan edit where they take out it was all a dream part of the Mortis episode?
Because then you also think about like as he's about to fight Obi-Wan in Revenge of the Sith, and he's seen the vision of the future of him being like not there anymore, losing all of his limbs and being in this like metal abomination, and then he still goes through with the fight to try and beat Obi-Wan. It's just like it would be beautiful, and they chickened out.
They did, and because I think one of the best parts of the prequel trilogy for me, and maybe the saga, is just that little moment when Darth Vader's mask is lowering on Anakin, and they just and it's all kind of like one shot, and you see like the mask like coming towards him, but then they cut away for like 1 second. You see like Hayden Christensen give this like weird look on his face, and it looks like scared, confused, or he was like, and then the mask goes on. And I feel like you could make an argument in that moment that like, oh my God, he's
remembering. Yeah.
He's remembering that memory. He's seeing that piece of that armor and that vision that he didn't understand, But it doesn't mean that because it was all a dream.
It was all a dream. But it's still a great arc that leads to a lot of introspection about what Star Wars is, what the Force is, who's in control of the Force, things like that. So
we need to, I know we've said this like a million times, but we need to like dig in and do a deep dive on Mortis, because when I was watching Mortis the last time, I think I was like typing stuff on Discord because I felt like a lot of the like specific lines of dialogue that were said worked really well for the sequel trilogy as well, and I was kind of surprised at how well it worked. But now I have no memory of what those thoughts were. So
same.
Listeners, just know that I had cool thoughts that you won't get to hear. Is that good podcasting?
Very good.
I think so.
On par for what we usually do.
Yep.
Basically. Mortis was so important that in Trevorrow's version of the script, they went to Mortis at the end of episode 9, which is pretty crazy. That would have been confusing for general audiences.
Absolutely.
Hey. I see why they didn't do it. But do you have a favorite Clone Wars arc, Jasmine?
Besides Mortis, it might be the arc that's at the beginning of season 6. I can't remember what clone is that.
Fives. Yeah.
Where Fives figures out that his brain is being controlled by something or whatever, and basically loses his mind over
buddy.
it. Such a good arc.
Yeah.
And it's just a great start to the season too. You're just immediately sucked into those episodes. You just have to watch them.
Yeah, because it starts with, I forget which clone it is, but one of the clones malfunctions while they're on a mission, and he goes up to a Jedi and shoots her in the head. They don't show it, but it's like it's pretty intense for this show. So then the rest of it is like Fives is like, what happened? He wouldn't have done this just on his own, so we need to figure out what it is. And it's a good companion to like Attack of the Clones, where you have Fives almost being a detective trying to figure out what happened here. And the deeper mystery, and the corruption goes up further than he thought, and then it ends with like one of the most heart-wrenching things to ever happen in the Clone Wars. So, because obviously spoilers, but Fives cannot let people know that they have a microchip in their head.
So he takes a vacation.
So he takes a
trip to
vacation,
Belize.
and he's living there still.
That's right.
Yeah.
And
that's a good arc.
Confusing. Though. Yeah, very, very good arc. Yeah, now that last season, because it didn't air on Cartoon Network, I think it was just released on Blu-ray, and then they put it on Netflix too.
Yeah.
There's like, they were able to get away with more stuff they couldn't get away with on broadcast TV.
Anakin says the F word a bunch.
Basically exclusively. I don't think he says any other dialogue. It's
that's just
almost incomprehensible, to be honest with you.
But no, it is a little darker. But it also, that season also ends with some crazy Force stuff of Yoda going to Korriban. I shall not call it Moraban,
Me neither.
but he goes to Korriban.
Korriban.
And
we stand a
Some-
Korriban.
meets some like crazy Force ghosts with weird faces. It's weird.
Oh, yeah. Well, there's also the whole sequence with him and Qui-Gon.
Yeah, that's right.
Qui-Gon communing with him and teaching him about the living force, the immortality.
Maybe that's
of
my
the
favorite
Force soul.
season.
Now that we're talking about it, I'm like, oh no, that is
That's a good
actually
one.
kind of the best season.
Yeah.
Although there's no Ahsoka, right? So that's kind of a
No,
No.
there's no Ahsoka. That's the big bummer.
yeah.
So, which, if no one asked, but one of my favorite arcs is Ahsoka.
Yeah, and I wasn't gonna get there either.
Ahsoka leaving the Jedi Order is one of my favorite
Oh,
arcs.
come on.
Because
Yeah.
again, it's just one of those things where what the Clone Wars is supposed to do is bridge the gap between Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith. How did Anakin get to a point where he could do what he does in Revenge of the Sith? And I don't think the movies do a good job because they skip over all that.
Mhm.
But if you add the Clone Wars in there and you see Anakin's arc through these 6, now 7 seasons, it really paints a picture of how this character could go from where he is at the beginning of Attack of the Clones to where he is at the end of Revenge of the Sith. And a big part of that is the arc where Ahsoka decides to leave the Jedi Order because she rightly decides that they have been unjust, and unjust or unjust, either one. They've been both of those
Unjust.
They've been unjust.
things.
Yeah.
Yes.
But it doesn't make any sense because it's injust. It's not
It is
unjust.
injustice.
But it's not unjust.
You know what? I'm blaming this one on English. So
We do not stand English.
we do not stand English, the people or the language. Shout out to our UK friends. I don't have any. But yeah, Ahsoka leaving the Order in the way that she does because they treat her unfairly or unfairly. I mean, it just, the heartbreak on Anakin's face in that season when she actually does decide to leave is pretty intense. And it very clearly opens the way for him to fall because there's just another thing that he's lost
I think
because of the Jedi.
wide, yeah, I think the wide shot of like Anakin and Ahsoka standing at the stairway to the temple grounds and
Yeah.
with all that distance between them, and then the
Oh.
shot from his perspective of her walking away
So good.
is it's one of my favorite images in Star Wars. And what's so crazy about like Star Wars animation and television is like there's this whole visual language that is separate from the movies, because in Rebels, when in the Twilight of the Apprentice, when Vader and Ahsoka fight, they mirror that same
Yeah.
shot at the end of the fight.
Mhm.
They do the same series
Yep.
of shots, and it's incredible. And it is a real payoff to if you've seen every episode of every Star Wars cartoon.
Mhm.
I just I appreciate the fact that they kind of bring over George's love of poetry, poet laureate George Lucas.
George Lopez, poet laureate George Lopez, the creator of Star Wars.
No, I'm not talking about George Lucas. I am talking about
No, obviously the
George
creator of Star Wars, George Lopez. Obviously, that's who we're talking about.
I love George Lucas. Maybe he'll leave a review on a fanfic sometime.
Maybe. We'll see. We can always hope.
And his mortal enemy, Lucas.
George Lucas and George Lopez or Locust or whoever.
And George Lopez. I mean,
Yeah,
we haven't talked about
all
George
of them.
Lopez, but frankly,
Frankly, my dear, let's move on. So that's a good arc. Another one I think is good that always makes people's best of lists is the Umbara episodes with no, you're doing this? You doing this on those episodes?
I'm saying
fine.
give me a little reminder.
Okay, it's the Dexter Jetster alien whose name I forget.
With the lightsaber.
I don't love those episodes.
Really?
You.
It's the same thing over and over again.
Yes,
He
but
says something crazy, and they're like, "Oh,
They're slogs.
follow this order? I don't know.
I
Oh,
know.
just follow it anyway." And
But
then,
it has some
but then they
really
don't.
but it has some really great moments, like when they
They
first
do.
does,
realize
yeah.
they're like fighting their own brothers. They're fighting, like, he's pitted clones against clones. Like, that scene has some real tension. I guess I love it so much because it gives a look at what would have happened had the war continued. Like, honestly, Palpatine didn't need to win the war to accomplish his goals. Like, if the war had just continued 10 more years, that would have been the eventuality of all the Jedi with what that dude did. I can't remember his name. Dexter Jettster's brother, we'll just call him.
That's it. You got it.
But
What?
he,
What was that guy's motivation? Like, I don't even remember.
For
I
being
don't-
such a jerk.
I don't know if
Yeah.
there was any more motivation than just
He was just really militant, I think, and just
yeah, I think he was a
victory
very
at all costs kind of guy.
I don't know.
yeah.
I just don't. I don't find that interesting, appealing. I don't.
I mean, he has as much motivation as, like, by the end of it, as someone like Palpatine or you know, where it's just like,
That guy is just as good a villain as Palpatine. I agree.
well, he has the same motivation. He turns evil for
Yeah,
evil's sake,
Right.
and there's no really, like, we're never, I hope we never get the backstory of Palpatine's childhood and how he was treated and what led him down this path, because Palpatine just needs to be evil because of,
Yeah.
doesn't that sound terrible?
Yes. I thought when you said Palpatine's child, I was like,
Childhood.
Hood. And I was
Yes.
like, oh, because I was like, I kind of do want to know about that kid.
I don't care about that kid either, but
I care so much about him.
but it is just like, the Jedi are not supposed to be at war, and what happens when they go to war is that it corrupts them, and the war is like a Sith philosophy, not a Jedi philosophy, and any Jedi that participates in that for too long is eventually going to turn out like Dexter Jettster's brother. Whoa, your camera just changed.
What the heck?
Jasmine,
You're so far away now.
I don't know what I did.
are you okay? Or are you safe?
You're shrinking before us.
Here we go.
For listener at home, Jasmine got a little tinier.
We're probably going
Farther
to get
away from us.
We're probably going to get kicked off soon, and we'll have to rejoin, just so you guys know. If we get kicked off, I'll just send you a new invite,
Why would we get kicked off?
because there's a 40-minute limit
Yeah.
on meetings,
Oh,
unless
okay.
I pay for the full version, which I'm not going to do. So,
okay.
okay. So anyway, I'm the only one who likes that excellent arc, and I'm the only one who agrees with critics who
It's
put it.
fine.
At
I think
the
if
top
it
of
was
their
one
list.
episode, I would
Fine.
like it. But the fact that it's an
Yeah.
arc to me,
It does
is
go on for a
excellent.
long time,
Mm-hmm.
but
You know.
it also has some good clone stuff, which I feel like Jake doesn't always love clone stuff. So
You know, I don't always love clone stuff.
yeah.
I used to. I think like when I first watched the show, that was my favorite part because it was so not what I expected from it. Now when I rewatch it, a lot of the times I find it to be kind of drag. I don't really know why.
Hmm.
It's like how sometimes you get older and your favorite food is no longer your favorite food. I don't know.
Is it because it's a guy talking to himself for a full episode?
It's not my favorite thing. It's a variation to this voice for an episode.
Yeah.
What? Exactly.
Yeah.
What'd you say? I
That's
don't know.
why are the clones English now?
Racist. I don't know.
So anyway,
Yeah. Are there any other Clone Wars arcs that you guys love? Those are the ones that really stick out to me. We talked about Ahsoka leaving. We talked about Fives discovering the microchip. We talked about
This
Dexter Jettster's brother, and we talked about Mortis.
this recent rewatch I've been doing, I really love the arc, and boy, we're prepared for this episode because I have the name and everything. I'm just choosing not to say it.
Mhm.
It's where they go to this really ritzy planet that still has slavery.
Oh,
and
yes.
it's
know what
the
you're talking
first-
about. The cat people.
Yes, the cat people. And one of my pet peeves with the prequel trilogy is that Anakin's background as a slave is never referenced, even when he goes back to Tatooine, even though like his entire motivation was going back and freeing all the slaves. And it's not referencing, like, it's not conspicuous by its absence in the sense like it was an intentional choice not to mention it. Like he's been so warped by the Jedi that he doesn't even remember his true goal. It just seems like they forgot about it. And so I love this arc because he brings it up. And it's something that really, really bothers him because he has to go undercover as a slave, as does Ahsoka.
Episodes 11 through 13 of season 4. So there you go.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
Mhm.
I just
I
knew that
do
off the
like
top of my
those.
head. I didn't look it up.
You also get to see flirty Anakin, which is interesting. And you get to see Ahsoka not liking that so much.
Yeah,
Because she knows that, romance is forbidden and so on
That's
and
true.
so on and so forth.
so on and
Although
so
she
forth.
has a little friend at some point in the
Yeah.
show.
She does have a little friend at some
What's
point.
her little friend's name?
I don't remember his name.
Doesn't
Little
matter.
friend.
History has forgotten that little friend.
Yep. Isn't it the friend on Onderon, Saul Guerrera's planet? I feel like
Oh.
it's someone from there. Is it
Mm-mm.
not?
No, I
It's
thought
not
it was
Saul.
Mandalore. I thought it was a Mandalore.
Maybe it
dude,
is a
Or
Mandalorian.
related to something to that.
I can't remember.
No, it's
I
like
do think it's the Mandalore.
Padme's friend's son. Does that sound right?
Clovis?
No.
Not Clovis. I remember Clovis.
No, it's not Clovis.
I know it's not Clovis. That's
Okay.
Padme's boy.
Yeah, no, I'm finding. Okay.
Look it up, Scotty. Look it up.
No, we don't do bits from other podcasts ever.
Ever.
It's a dumb name. I know that.
Well, it is Star
in
Wars.
Star Wars? Hey, buddy.
Hey, you know what? We still need. That's another episode we can do. Is bad Star Wars names.
Would have been a better episode than this. But
Yeah.